And we are coming to you live from the heartland, wall to wall, treetop tall, locked and loaded, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages. I hope that you watched the podcast we did this afternoon about the mystery airships. And tonight, we're going to dive into a similar show talking about the ghost rockets of 1946. And as Tracy Dyer says, here we go. I want to let you know that the new or the latest edition of the latest edition of the Unindoctrinated podcast is also out for you to listen to wherever you listen to your podcast. Still having some trouble with Apple because I hate them, but we'll try to get it up there as well. Ghost rockets of 1946. As I was studying on the I don't know why I'm so I had a little bit of a nap. I think I'm a little bit still asleep. As of the secret airships, the mystery airships, I also discovered this subject of the ghost rockets. Again, something that I haven't heard of. If you have heard of them, great. I never heard of them, and that's rare that there's things that I have not heard of before in this genre, and I'm glad that there's more to learn and there's more to know. And this thing about the ghost rockets, studied it and come to find out, and I just found this out right before we went on air. One of my good friends, Micah Hanks, wrote a book about the ghost rockets, and I'm looking forward to picking that up and reading it. But they were called and I don't know how you pronounce things in Swedish, the Spökrocketer. Oh, I see, like ghost rockets, Spökrocketer. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's the ghost rockets of 1946. Interesting stuff. Because again, we all think that everything happened and everything started with Roswell, but it didn't, not by a long stretch. So the ghost rockets, and you see the Swedish word there, are also called the Scandinavian ghost rockets, were actually rockets, ladies and gentlemen, or missile-shaped UFOs, unidentified flying objects that were sighted in 1946 up in Sweden and nearby countries. You see an old grainy photo, because that's what they had then, was old grainy photos of what is a ghost rocket. And my understanding from our study is that ghost rockets were always sighted in broad daylight. But we haven't heard about these ghost rockets. And I don't know why we haven't heard about these ghost rockets. But I will take Toby's suggestion right now and let you know, folks, that you don't have to believe in ghost rockets to believe in the rocket. The rocket is making sex great again, making men great again, making women great again. It is our effort, folks, to go after and to come against men's infertility, lack of, and also men's performance ability. We know that the world and that the world system is very actively trying to take down male virility and male sexuality, but the rocket and the link is working great again. The rocket is making men great again, making women great again, making sex great again. You can be a rocket man, as Danny Marshall talks. I won't sing the Rocket Man, even though we know William Shatner sang it, and William Shatner was in our last video. For some reason, it says Joyce says be cautious. There's no reason to be cautious with the rocket. Use it following instructions, and you will have your vitality restored. It breaks up plaque, it creates new capillaries, and allows men to be men, and allows the women of men to feel like women again. It is great stuff, ladies and gentlemen. How did Shatner sing it? Rocket Man. He was singing this. He was smoking a cigarette. I'm a rocket man. Something weird like that. But anyway, that was Shatner's Rocket Man. Was hysterical. And I can't even remember the words to Rocket Man except Rocket Man. Da, 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 da. I don't know. I would sing it, but I don't understand the words. So there you go, Rocket Man. And Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the Rocket Man logo. There's still some great deals. Basically, it's usually $500 per treatment in a clinic. You need at least 12 treatments. That's $6,000, right? Way less. The cost of one treatment-ish if you go through jeffreydaugherty.com. So there you go. That is the Rocket, and we really do believe in it. I'm not trying to be silly. It is good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. The first reports of ghost rockets, and I don't know why you keep saying that, but it irritates me, so I'm taking it out of there. The first reports of ghost rockets were made on February 26, 1946, and isn't that funny? It's almost February 26, 2020, or 1020, depending upon the way you look at it. And by about 2,000 sightings were logged between May and December of 1946. That's amazing. And the peaks were on the 9th and the 11th of August. 200 sightings were verified with radar returns, and authorities recovered physical fragments, which were attributed to ghost rockets. Amazing stuff, ladies and gentlemen. 2,000 sightings. That's a lot of sightings. That's a lot of rockets, ladies and gentlemen. And some people say it was just the Perseid meteor shower, and I apologize if I said that name wrong. Investigators have concluded that many ghost rocket sightings were probably caused by meteors. And if you look at what the ghost rocket kind of looks like, you could say, oh, yeah, I can see where you could say it's a meteor, but it's broad daylight. How many meteor showers do you see in broad daylight? But anyway, the peaks of the sightings on the 9th and the 11th of August, 1946, do fall within the annual meteor shower. But however, most of the ghost rocket sightings that were reported, ladies and gentlemen, cousins of all ages, did not occur during the time of the meteor shower. And these ghost rockets displayed characteristics that are inconsistent with meteors, like they maneuvered, they turned, they banged, they maneuvered. Meteors don't maneuver. Meteors straight line, just like you'll get with the rocket, but a strong straight line, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages. Some people have said maybe it was the Nazis. What do you mean the Nazis? Well, in 1946, it was thought by investigators that most of the ghost rockets, there you go, Jamie, most of the ghost rockets seem to be originating from the former German rocket facility at Peenemünde, and again, I don't really know how to say these words, Peenemünde, and were long-range tests by the Soviets of captured German V-1 or V-2 missiles, or perhaps another early form of cruise missile because of the ways they were seen to maneuver. Now, the Swedish Army actually issued directives to the newspapers: don't report the exact location of ghost rocket sightings or any information regarding the direction or the speed, not wanting to give away valuable strategic information. Was it just meteors? Was it captured Nazi technology? Interesting stuff. As we look at the descriptions and the details of the investigations, the sightings most often consisted of fast-flying rockets or missile-shaped objects. Sometimes they said they had wings. Sometimes they did not have wings, and these things were visible for seconds. There were also slower cigar-shaped moving objects, and hissing and rumbling was sometimes reported as well. And the crashes, folks. It wasn't uncommon for these things to crash. Lots of them crashed into lakes. Crazy. And they would skip across the lake's surface before sinking, as well as just bloom, blunk, plunk, whatever the sound would be of a rocket going into a lake. Karen Steele thinks that they were man-made. Again, I'm just hearing about them, so I'm finding it very, very fascinating. Very, very fascinating. Now, as we continue with our descriptions and investigations, the best known of these crashes Tracy says if they were aliens, I don't think they'd be crashing, which is brings up a point, and I get myself in trouble. You pilot yourself across the galaxy. You defeat the Van Allen radio belts. You do all of these amazing things, and then you crash in Roswell. I don't know. Maybe they spilled a drink on their lap. Maybe it was intergalactic road fellatio that caused the crash. I don't know. I really don't know. It just seems rather odd to me that you'd come all the way from the dark side of Uranus only to crash due to hot coffee, interstellar hot coffee in your lap, or something else that would be kind of hot as well. If aliens even roll that way, I don't know. But there was one crash, and the military conducted a 3-week search and turned up nothing. But immediately after the investigation, the Swedish Air Force officer Carl Gustav Bartol submitted a report in which he stated that he took a look at the lake. And I think I got a picture of him here taking a look at the lake. The bottom of the lake was all gouged up, and that there's many indications that the object disintegrated upon impact. The object was manufactured in a lightweight material, according to this intrepid researcher, possibly a kind of magnesium alloy that would disintegrate easily and would be impervious to being able to be found on the instruments. He was interviewed in 1984 by another researcher, and he again reiterated that the object largely disintegrated in flight and that what people saw were real physical arguments. Minnie Main says UFOs are created by our shadow government. Many people believe so. Many people believe so. Just great, just stuff you never heard. And there he is. Not a great looking boat, but hey, it's a boat. It's on the water. Is this just slats and that's water? No. I'm saying, bro, you went out there like that. No, it's a boat. Not a great boat, but I don't think you're going to pick up space babes on that boat. But hey, he's got a boat and he's out there and he's checking out the lake. And this is former Swedish Air Force officer Carl Gustav. If an umlaut works the same way it does in German, it floats, says Toby. It floats. And he's searching for a ghost rocket that crashed in that lake. And this is back in 1946. He's doing his due diligence. He built it with free pallets. It looks that way, doesn't it? Now, the Swedish government also got involved and made an official statement. They actually drafted a memo for the Swedish Ghost Rocket Committee. Who knew that there was actually a Swedish Ghost Rocket Committee? Nearly 100 impacts have been reported, and 30 pieces of debris have been received and examined by the Swedish National Defense Research Institute. And they later said that they were meteorite fragments. Of the nearly 1,000 reports received by the Swedish defense staff, 225 were considered observations of real physical objects, and every one of them had been seen in broad daylight. What do you think? What do you think? They find some stuff. They say it's meteorites. Lots of people saw these things. It's interesting. It's interesting. And of course, if it happens, the United States is going to get involved. And in early 1946, the Swedish Lieutenant Lennart Neckman of the Defense Staff's Air Defense Division saw something that was, without a doubt, a rocket projectile. So a military guy sees it, and all of a sudden it's serious. So he sees it, and then on August 14th, the New York Times reported that Undersecretary of State Dean Acheson was very much interested in the ghost rocket reports, as was the U.S. Army Air Force's intelligence. Okay, so we've got the Swedish government interested. We've got the Defense Air Staff interested. And we've got an Undersecretary of State, Dean Acheson, interested. And then on August 20 of that year, General Jimmy Doolittle, father of what would become the United States Air Force, and General David Sarnoff, who at the time was the president of RCA, they just happened to go to Stockholm. Now, of course, they weren't there to take a look at ghost rockets. They were there because Jimmy Doolittle was now the president or vice president of Shell Oil, and he was just checking out some Shell Oil stuff. And, of course, Sarnoff, member of General Dwight D. Eisenhower's staff, he was just studying the market for radio equipment. That's all. They weren't there to see anything about ghost rockets. However, they just happened to bump into the chief of Swedish defense staff, and they just happened to get reports about these ghost rockets into the hands of both of those generals. And afterwards, they were convinced. And it's interesting how Sarnoff kind of changed his definition. He was convinced that the ghost bombs were not myth, but were real missiles. So now all of a sudden they're ghost bombs. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Just fascinating stuff and a lot of information about it. But wait, there's more. The Central Intelligence Group, Lieutenant John Hoyt Vandenberg, yeah, just like Heidi Vandenberg, Lieutenant General Hoyt Vandenberg wrote a top secret memo to then President Truman, perhaps based in part on information from Doolittle and Sarnoff. And Vandenberg stated that the weight of evidence pointed to this place, the former German V1, V2 base, as the origin of the missiles. The U.S. military attaché in Moscow was told by key Swedish air officers that the radio course plotting had led to the conclusion that the former V1, V2 base was the launch site of most of these ghost rockets. Wow. And a lot of the V1s were being aimed for the Gulf of Bothnia for test purposes and overflying Swedish territory for intimidation. Why would you want to intimidate the Swedish? Are they not making enough meatballs for you? Do you not like blondes in blue? I don't know why you'd want to intimidate the Swedish. Why would you go out of your way to intimidate the Swedish? Maybe the Swedish were just being a little paranoid. Maybe they just were overflying Sweden because it's like, some kind of an insignificant country to a lot of people. I'm just saying. Maybe you know what, that Tracy's got it. They bought some furniture from IKEA and they were driven to rage trying to put the IKEA furniture together. And they said, we'll fix those bitches. We'll shoot some ghost rockets over them and intimidate them. Very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows how it happened? Who knows why it happened? But of course, now somebody has to ask, are they extraterrestrial in nature? And if you notice, this is actually a top secret document. A top secret document that was released in, I think it declassified in 1987. And I'm going to read you the document because it's not that super easy to see, but you can see it right there. And this is what it says. For some time, we've been concerned by the recurring reports on flying saucers. This was, 1946? We said 48. It was 1948. And it was declassified in 87. So in 1948, for some time in 1948, they've been concerned by reports on flying saucers. They periodically continue to pop up. During the last week, one was observed hovering over Neubiberg Air Base for about 30 minutes. Neubiberg Air Base is a municipality just southeast of Munich, which just happened to have an airport that just happened to be used as a Luftwaffe base in the Third Reich and after the war as a U.S. air base in the following years as the German Air Force Officers School. It used to be a Luftwaffe base. Now it's a U.S. air base, and they used to train German officers there. Boy, it's just a crazy, crazy world we live in. They've been reported by so many sources and from such a variety of places that we are convinced, the writers of the memo said, craziness, folks. We are convinced that they cannot be disregarded and must be explained on some basis, which is perhaps slightly beyond the scope of our present intelligence thinking. When the officers of this directorate recently visited the Swedish Air Intelligence Service, this question was put to the Swedes. Their answer was that some reliable and fully technically qualified people have researched the conclusion that these phenomena are obviously the result of a high technical skill which cannot be credited to any presently known culture on Earth. Emphasis on presently known. They are therefore assuming that these objects originate from some previously unknown or unidentified technology, possibly outside Earth. Wow. Can you imagine the U.S. military actually, United States Air Force in Europe, USAFE, I was part of that for almost 4 years. Listen to this statement. The objects originate from some previously unknown or unidentified technology, possibly outside the Earth, possibly not outside the Earth. I find that fascinating that they actually admit that. The document also mentioned a flying saucer crash in a Swedish lake. Remember that? And work conducted by a Swedish naval salvage team. The discovery of a crater on the lake floor believed caused by the object. And the document ends with the statement that we are not inclined to discredit entirely this somewhat spectacular story. Meantime, keeping an open mind on the subject. That's fascinating to me, folks. And it seems that they're leaving the door open for saying they're not necessarily ETs. And this is back in 1948. I think that's fascinating. And then we kind of wrap this up with the Greek government doing an investigation. And this, of course, means that the rocket reports weren't confined to Scandinavia, but similar objects were reported early the following month by British Army units in Greece, especially around Thessalonica, which is interesting because that's a city of biblical renown. In 1946, the Greek Prime Minister, Mr. Saldaris, likewise reported the number of projectiles had been seen over Macedonia and Thessalonica on September 1st. In mid-September, they were seen in Portugal, and then in Belgium, and then in northern Italy. All heavily militarized areas, by the way. Lots of bases there, ladies and gentlemen, because I've been to most of them. The greatest thing about a C-130 is it can land anywhere. The worst thing about a C-130 is it can land anywhere. The Greek government conducted their own investigation. Their own leading physicist, Dr. Paul Santorinus, in charge. He was a developer of proximity fuses on the first atom bomb. Oh, great. And he held patents on guidance systems for the Nike missiles and radar systems. He was supplied by the Greek army with a team of engineers, and they investigated what they thought were Soviet missiles flying over Greece. We soon established that they were not missiles, but before we could do any more, the Army, after conferring with foreign officials, U.S. Defense Department, ordered the investigation stopped. Foreign scientists from Washington flew to Greece for secret talks. This guy later told UFO researchers that that secrecy was invoked because the officials were afraid to admit of a superior technology against which we possibly had no defense or no possibility of defense. So they're talking about advanced technology. We put the pieces together, not from any known place on earth, possibly from unknown places on earth, or possibly, as they say, from places beyond earth. Wow. That's interesting. It really is interesting. It really is interesting. Where did the mystery airships come from? Where did the ghost rockets come from? And what is being hidden from us? What is being hidden from us? Makes me wonder. It really does. It's still a mystery. And I hope that we can train ourselves to think logically, to think rationally, and to think like empirical observers and not just say aliens, extraterrestrials, ETs. And it seems to me, I'm seeing growing evidence, and I'm going to editorialize a little bit. I am seeing growing evidence of a high level desire by the powers that be to convince us that all of our problems are ET, all of our worries are ET, and that if anything's coming to get us, it's going to be ET. Reminds me of why the actor Ronald Reagan would have said, imagine if a force from beyond this world attacked us, how easily we could all get together and form a one world government and a new world order and a one world one world monetary system and a one world government, and we could all just hold our hands and sing kumbaya and join forces against those evil aliens. Plus, it's really good to have someone to blame for all your nefarious activities, ladies and gentlemen. I become more convinced every day that it has nothing to do with extraterrestrials. And I become more convinced every day that they want us to believe it has to do with extraterrestrials. I exchanged emails with Gosha today from Cosmic Agency, and I believe that Gosha is 100% full of integrity. I believe that Gosha believes what she is receiving is actual communication from extraterrestrials, but I might do a show with my belief on what might be happening, and it might be all part of the same game. People can be very, very sincere and be very, very sincerely wrong. It just seems to me that the cabal wants to convince us that our problems are from ETs, and there's no reason for us to start looking for the pedos and all that other bad stuff, because we really need to worry about the ETs. I would have, Gosha, last minute got her visa and was able to go and be at the conference in Laughlin that ends tomorrow. If I'd have known about it, I would have been down there and would have met her and done a show with her. But I lost track when she was having troubles. So I like Gosha. I appreciate Gosha. I think Gosha is very honest and very sincere. But I may do a show on that, because I'm becoming more and more convinced, and I'll say it one more time, we're being victimized by a high level, cabal level stuff, trying to convince us that not only do our hopes lie with extraterrestrials, but our fears also lie with extraterrestrials. I was just on Coast to Coast AM just a few weeks ago, and we talked about the possibility of maybe it's not all extraterrestrials. Maybe some of it is intraterrestrials or many other things. And Tracy is not sold on Dale either, but hey, it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. And it behooves us to keep our minds open and to keep our eyes peeled Absolutely 100%. So let's take a look at the chat room and let's see what you have to say about these things that we're talking about. And I'm probably going to have to do that show. I'm really going to have to do that show. Wow, that's a statement. I didn't if this I'm really surprised to see Cynthia say that she has issues with Dale. That's really interesting. And I think it's way too strong to say that Ghosh is a pawn. I would disagree with that. I think she's smart. I think she's bright. I think she's sincere. I'm just not sure that the information she's getting is accurate, but we'll talk about that at another time. Tracy says if they're aliens, she didn't think they'd crash. Yeah, they need to learn on their how to do their landings. It does sound like testing. Is the awakening real or is it another illusion? Well, Jesse, my money's on another illusion. Can they find the wreckage? They did find some pieces of wreckage, Donna, but their theorized, of course, was that it breaks up on impact. They're not crashing at Gary's house. Glad to hear that. They should go to Top Gun training, or maybe just some training would be preferable to no training. Maybe anti-aircraft weapons made them crash. That's possible. The inner Earth beings might not be that far ahead of us if it's them. But, that's true. They could be ahead, but how far ahead is the question. UFOs are created by the secret government. I think that probably some of them are all of them? Don't know. Maybe. Does it float? That's a good question. Black ops that we pay for but are uninformed of. I'm sure that never happens, John, because the government loves us so very much, although Tracy Dyer agrees with you. And Gary says, imagine that. Crazy. You can't trust the government? Come on, you guys. Hello to you, Mary, as well. Let's see. Kristen just says, wow. You should try to interview Linda Moulton Howe. I could. For some reason, I've never had a real affinity for Miss Howe. I don't know why. I should probably invite her. But Cynthia says she charges fees. I ain't paying nobody. I ain't giving you no money to come on my show. What's his name wants money? I'm like, no, I'm giving you no damn money. Get me out of here. Get that cunt out of my face. I ain't paying nobody no money. Sage from Hell and Back sends greetings to Jeff and followers. Where's Hell and Back? Oh, Hell and Back. Is this a joke? That's funny. But anyway, I take greetings and salutations wherever they come from. I miss Heidi too. I talked to her a while back. She's doing great. She's busy stacking G's and, just setting the real estate world on fire. Heidi's doing great. No problem. Karen says they're anti-human. Some of them undoubtedly are. Are all of them anti-human? I don't think that I would be comfortable making that statement. But I am comfortable recommending that you go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the Mistech logo, and be tuned to the ideal Schumann resonance of the planet. Get your cells back in harmony instead of chaos. And look at the visual proof we have on video, blood test video, that proves how good this stuff is for you. And you still get 20% off when you order through jeffreydaugherty.com. So go take a look at that. You'll be glad that you did. Tracy's winking at me. Jeff, how much involvement or look in do you think the Vatican gets in the black budgets process? No idea. I don't think that I think it's pretty well compartmentalized. The Vatican takes care of the spiritual stuff. U.S. takes care of the military stuff. London takes care of the financial stuff. That oversimplifies it, but that's kind of the way I see him. And here's another interesting thought. Aliens are us in the future. We're coming back for things. That has definitely been floated. We talked about that a little bit on Coast to Coast AM the other night. And it's very, very possible. Gary worked on the C-130. Sorry, Gary. Well, we loved our hogs, but damn, those things were not easy to work on. Somebody says, Jameis says, maybe the aliens are us from the past. And they're immortals. Maybe. Tracy says it's still a mystery. I agree. Will we ever know the truth? Yeah, we're going to find the truth out, and we're finding out more truth every day than we knew the day before. Tracy concurs. Matt concurs. Let's see. Let's get on board. Absolutely. Crop circles and cattle slaughters are cabal activities, says Tracy Dyer. I tend to agree with that. I really do. The next Matrix. Interesting. Fishman. I don't know if I've seen Fishman before, and it just went right by me. I don't know what it was, but it's nice to see you, Fishman. Nice to see you, Fishman. Let's see. Linda Moulton Howe is on rinse and repeat. Nothing new with her info. That will never happen. Nutty Otter will never be on this show. The guy tells you he's crazy. He tells you he lives in his mother's basement. He worships the Jesuit Nostradamus, and somehow he's able to put massive amounts of copyrighted material on his channel that nobody else is able to do. That couldn't be sponsored opposition, could it? But it's got to make me laugh. I live in my mother's basement. I'm crazy. And you still line up to watch him. What does someone have to say to you to get you not to watch him? Wow, 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 wow. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. My pleasure. I'd rather do service to history. We'd rather skin that otter. That's interesting. Well, Jesse, if you want to have Linda Moulton Howe on this channel to hear her truth, you pay her fee, and I'll be glad to have her on. Can we work that out? I'll be glad to have her on. I just ain't paying her to come on. I am not paying her to come on. I'm not paying anybody to come on. Fishman's been around for a while. Good. Sorry. There's 45,000 almost. Sometimes I get lost. I'm an old guy. Give me a break, okay? Give me a break. I did call him Nutty Otter because that's what he is, for heaven's sake. Let's see. What else? What else? And think he tells the truth. Yeah, exactly. Facepalm. He tells you he's crazy. He tells you he lives in his mother's basement. He tells you he's on medication. And you line up to listen to him. Ay. Thank you for your cerebral stimulation. Why, you're quite welcome. It's my pleasure to be able to provide cerebral stimulation to you, John JB, 1966. I am not. Yeah, you pay for her if you want her on. I ain't paying for her. Tesla has the time travel machine, but he's dead, Javanka. Let's see. Gary says, no. Aren't we all nutso? Nope, we're not. We are not. Let's see. He also thinks he's part of the Galactic Space Federation. Oh yeah, he's somebody that Nostradamus talked about. So what he's saying is, oh my gosh, this is so funny. I'm crazy. He tells you I'm crazy. He tells you I live in my mother's basement, for real. He tells you he's on medication, and he tells you he's a Jesuit operative. I was the one that Nostradamus, a confirmed Jesuit, was talking about. He says I'm a Jesuit, but you still listen to him. Just like the guy who puts up a picture behind him and says, I took that picture when I tried to start a shooting spree. I took this picture when I tried to provoke people getting shot when the picture's 6 years old, and he didn't take it. But, oh, that's okay. You don't mind if they look you in the face and lie to you. You still watch them. I don't know why. Does it bug me? Yes, I do. Gary, if you're a cross, why don't you go listen to him right now and leave me the hell alone? I know about it because I hear about him. I did investigation into him, and I realized He says he's crazy. He says he's on medication. He says he lives in his mom's basement. He says he's a Jesuit. He says he's Nostradamus. He pushes Nostradamus, who's a Jesuit. You only have to listen to him for 12 minutes to figure all that out. I am an investigator, nuttier than a Snickers bar. Exactly. Mental illness is so rampant in truth and New Age movements. It really is, and it really is so sad. Coming from a family where I watched my mom do that over and over, it is abusive, absolutely. I can proudly say I've never watched The Nutty Otter. I've never watched... How much have I watched? If I had to add it all up, I don't know, maybe half an hour or so. Maybe a half an hour. I love you too, man. If you like fiction, boom. Yeah, and for some reason, Cynthia still watches them. I don't know what it is. Maybe she's got a thing for nutty, crazy guys that live in their mom's basement. Maybe I should be worried. But I did live in a trailer. And some have said that I'm crazy. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Donna says, Gary, you are one strange bird, but a nice red cardinal. So there is that. How come? What is this? What is this? I don't know how we got off on this, but how does one live in their mama's basement and is a Jesuit? That's just what he says. That's just what he says. She said he needed therapy after one viewing, but otters are so cute. Cynthia needs an intervention. She does need an intervention. No, she does check him out so she can, stay on. She does my opposition research, right? That's what it's called. My opposition research. Oh, this is funny. I wonder if it's really true. If this was really heard, or who we watch Fringe every now and then, and we're not watching it on TV. We're just watching it on this place that has it. And there's this guy. I think it's some kind of an insurance commercial. And there's this dude that is sitting in a chair, and he's like, reminds me of Nutty Beaver, except he's thin. I mentioned Nutty Beaver not being thin, but anyway, Nutty Otter, sorry. And she's like, I'm gonna go out. Can you tell? I'm not your garbage man, Mom. If you don't, I'm gonna get my own insurance. That'd be wonderful. Oh, would it? And it's like, I'm like, that's Nutty Otter right there. And Cynthia laughed, and yeah, Cynthia likes to know what our subscribers are watching. Cynthia thinks she can fix the Nutty Otter. Oh, I don't think Rex would even interview the Nutty Otter. I don't know. That's disturbing if his mom calls him naughty. That would be disturbing. Oh, man. Mom, we got chicken or what? Oh, my. Jeff, you are the hostess with the mostest. I don't miss a show. My loyalty is to you, not a beaver. Well, we won't even touch that one, Gary. We'll just leave that lie. Let it go on. OMG, that is gold. Once for the nanu. I hate that nanu stuff, but it was funny and it works for Rex because that's Rex's thing. Grandma's cookies, sandwiches, all that cool stuff. Yeah. Wow. What a show, ladies and gentlemen. What a show. What a show. So, folks, and we did hear back from Brother Sanchez. We're going to try to set that up, talk to Brother Sanchez. I think I might interview those two very nice people that say the Bible is the mark of the beast and the Bible is an idol. I was gonna like do a debate, but I didn't want to be responsible for anybody going into cardiac arrest. And besides, I kind of like him for some reason. So we're going to be bringing them along. We've got some other big stuff coming. I can't remember right now who it is, but a lot of great stuff coming, a lot of fun stuff coming. Oh, dude, Gary, I got off the show yesterday. Wonderful sushi from, what the heck is that place called? If you're ever, well, I don't want to give you my location because you people are crazy, some of you. But it's really really good sushi. Like Tracy said, it tastes a little fishy. I like the salmon, and it's very, very delicious, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very delicious. It's not live fish, it's just raw fish. Raw fish. Oh, that's interesting. If you want to know Nutty Otter's real name, just go to his GoFundMe and you can see his real name. So there you go. If you really want to know, there you go. And this disturbs me. Cynthia knows that his GoFundMe is in his real name. Cynthia, you didn't, did you? Like I have any control over what Cynthia does. I don't. And that's okay with me. I like it that way. Period. For some reason, Joyce Marie said. Tracy's laughing out loud. I'm glad I can entertain. I'm glad I can entertain. It is definitely time for an intervention. Definitely time for an intervention. Once you start funding the otter, there's no turning back from that. I think Gary's just trying to trigger me. Gary's just trying to trigger me. You know, when it was Jay Campbell about 8 books ago where this was the greatest book he'd ever read. Dolores Cannon, you got to buy it. You got to buy it. So I bought it and I read like 14 pages and she's channeling this, a scene who's talking about a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah. Only problem was they didn't have bar mitzvahs or bat mitzvahs until very, very recent times. Sorry, Dolores, you screwed the pooch. She's a shill. She's a shill. Boom. The ghost rockets of Sweden was quite well known as a UFO phenomenon. NASA rockets are just balloons, says Bogan. Okay, no feeding or teasing the animals. Let's see. It is amazing, Shane, says Cynthia. I'm not sure what's amazing. She must be talking about my performance in the bedroom. We all know that that's amazing. Right, baby? She is an investigator as well. Yes, she is. She's good at what she does and makes me better at what I do. Yes, I think Dolores Cannon is dead now because that's good because she won't be writing any more silly books. Did I just say she was dead? Well, you know what I mean. I'm not glad she's dead. I'm just glad that she's not going to write any more books. Okay. Oh, she was channeling Nostradamus too. I get it. No wonder I disliked her so much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, remember that we talked about ghost rockets. Remember that we're wondering are the powers that be trying to convince us that it's all ET, all of our problems and all of our solutions? And what should we think about that? Dolores made some really pretty tarot cards. Okay, cool. That's nice. That's nice. Jay does that best book shit a lot. He does. He's all about the books. It's the latest book. And that's okay. That's Jay's thing. That's Jay's thing. All right, folks. We appreciate you. Always remember that you are divine, you are sovereign, you are free. You don't have original sin. You got the spark of divinity within. You're here to be divine. You're here to be sovereign. You're here to be free. It's very easy to fool you. Most of you have been fooled. Not so easy to convince you've been fooled, but I'm not going to stop trying. We are the last generation of real humans. We're not waiting for winners to write history. We're making history today. We are changing the world, but we do have to get busy. Please do subscribe. Please do tap that bell. And for Tracy and Cynthia, we do salute you for being here, seeking after truth. Thank you, Gary. I appreciated being on Coast. It's always a good time. And it's so good to be able to laugh together. You know what just came to my mind? It's so weird. I used to watch this with my mom. I'm so glad we had this time together just to share a laugh and sing a little song. And it seems before you know it, I missed some words. The time comes we have to say so long. Good night, everybody.